Hello everyone, I'm Abdulrahman Nashwan, fourth year medical student at Mosul Medical College, and I'm going to talk about mirror neurons. I hope this seminar will be informative and interesting for you. As a quick startup, I'm curious if you know that there is approximately 6,500 languages spoken in the world today, and their alphabets range from 74 letters in Khmer to only 12 letters in Rotokos. But have you ever wondered how did all these languages come and where? Well, our topic today can partially answer this question. So give me your attention, please, and let's go. You may already be familiar with the types of neurons that are mainly two functionally different neurons. The sensory one that fires in response to outer stimulation, and the motor one, and the motor neurons, which fire to execute certain action, in other words, deliver the signals from the CNS to the effector organ or muscle. That was correct till recently, when a new group of neurons discovered and described as neurons that fire both when an action is being observed, and the sensory component, and when the action is being executed, the motor component. And those were the mirror neurons, representing a distinctive class of neurons that discharge both when an individual does something and when he observes another individual doing the same thing. In other words, they mirror the neural mechanism of the observed individual, and that's why they are called mirror neurons. They were first discovered in macaque monkey's brain in 1990. In fact, their discovery was a nice coincidence. A group of neurophysiologists placed electrodes in the ventral premotor cortex of macaque monkey's brain to study neurons specialized for control of hand and mouth actions. They recorded electrical signals from a group of neurons in the monkey brain while the monkey was allowed to reach for a piece of food. The same electrical signals were fired when the monkey observed a scientist reaching for a piece of food, although the monkey was motionless, and this was the trigger for a great discovery. So what's so special about mirror neurons? Well, taking it simply, if I ask you, what's this? You'll probably say, it's a fire. Perfect, you're right. But have you ever asked yourself, what did this multi-purpose fire appear in the first place and how? Well, as you may suppose, there was a person who did it hundreds of years ago, and his people observed him and imitated his actions to make fire again and again. And the same goes for everything. One individual succeeded, the others imitated, and we got civilized. Well, this imitation was never possible without our mirror neurons. Now, this is the language tree. It started as simple as one or two languages, mother languages, and other languages arise when a group of people wishing to establish their distinct identity. However, the discovery of mirror neurons provides strong support for the gestural theory of speech etymology, suggesting that mirror neurons create a direct link between the sender of a message and the receiver. Thanks to the mirror mechanism, actions done by one individual becomes messages that are understood by an observer without any cognitive mediation. The observation of an individual grasping an apple being immediately understood because it evokes the same motor representation in the parietal frontal mirror system of the observer. On the basis of this fundamental property of mirror neurons, neuroscientists propose that the mirror mechanism is the basic mechanism from which the language evolved. And according to alternate hypothesis, the initial communicative system was based on simple elementary gesturing. Sounds were then associated with the gestures and become progressively the dominant way of communication. In fact, the mirror mechanism solved at an initial stage of language evolution two fundamental communication problems, which are parity and direct comprehension. Thanks again to the mirror neurons, no arbitrary symbols were required, and the comprehension was inherent in the neural organization of the two individuals. One more thing I'd like to say. It's obvious that the mirror mechanism doesn't explain by itself the enormous complexity of speech, but it solves one of the fundamental difficulties for understanding language evolution, that is how and what is valid for the sender of a message become valid also for the receiver. Moving forward to another crucial rule in our daily life, as we always say, what matters is the intention. There are two distinct processes of information that one can get observing an action being done by another individual, which are what action is being done, and the other more complex component is why the action is being done, which is the intention. Now, charge your mirror neurons and try this experiment with me. مع الصورة شوية بدقة يمكن ما واضحة كلش. عموما, when you see the context of this picture, and you probably will think that the intention of grasping the cup is to drink tea. On the other hand, seeing this picture on the right will make you suggest that grasping the cup is to clean up the mess. Thanks to the mirror neurons that enabled me, you, me, and everyone else to understand the untold part of the context. Surprisingly, both photos explained as cleanup by a group of housekeepers and as drinking by a group of teenagers. And this demonstrates how our life experience affect us and make the basis of the common aphorism. Now, if they can mirror others' actions, won't they mirror our actions? Definitely they will. Mirror neurons can not only help simulate other people's behavior, but can be turned inward to create second-order representations or meta-representations of one's own earlier brain processes. This could be the neural basis of introspection and the mutuality of self-awareness and other awareness. Now, what are the promising therapeutic applications of them? Before answering this question, let's make a quick recap. Mirror neurons are neurons stimulated by both observing and executing an action. They play a major role in imitation, language, action and intention understanding, self-awareness, also empathy, and learning facilitation. Now, keep in your mind, defect in mirror neurons will certainly affect these functions. And first, we have autism. Well, it has been postulated and proved by neuroscientists that the inability of autistic children to relate to people and life situations in the ordinary way depends on a lack of normally functioning mirror neurons. According to electroencephalogram recordings, mu waves, and this is the mu waves, are suppressed. Mu waves from the motor areas are suppressed when someone watches another person's move. A signal that may relate to the mirror neuron system. This suppression was less in children with autism. Mirror neuron abnormalities have also been blamed for a number of other autistic problems, like language difficulties, self-identification, lack of imitation, and finally, intention understanding. Last but not least, schizophrenia and psychosis. According to recent research, which measured mu wave suppression, suggests that mirror neuron activity is positively correlated with psychotic symptoms. In other words, greater mu suppression or mirror neuron activity was highest among subjects with a greater severity of psychotic symptoms. Researchers concluded that higher mirror neuron activity may be the basis of schizophrenia sensory gating deficits and may contribute to sensory misattributions, particularly in response to socially relevant stimuli, and be a supposed mechanism for delusions and hallucinations. Although it's still not proved completely yet, neuroscientists insist that repairing the mirror neurons will do a great leap in the management of these conditions. Thank you for listening. I am ready for any questions.